For me, it was kind of difficult because I knew that of course, as a filmmaker, you try to be as objective as you can, to go to these places and say, well, I just want to get my story out of the way, and I just want to capture the stories of those people who were there, and that was really what was important to me. But as I was going on this trip, I realized that I could not be objective because I'm from that region. I have my own thoughts and my own feelings, and so I said, well, if I cannot be fully objective in how I see things, at least then I could put my own thoughts and how I see things in the film. So that way, I could make it even more, as comprehensive as I thought it would be. And the thing that really came out of the film that I really didn't expect was the fact is that whole talk about the fear factor, because really I realized that that is the underlying theme throughout the whole interviews, all of the people who I was interviewing, and then realized that it is still inside of myself, and ultimately that is the biggest obstacle to having reconciliation and having building of the future is the fact if you cannot deal with your own past and cannot deal with your own feelings and fears, then you cannot put it behind you and move forward.
Is there any special reason that you dedicate this film to your wife and your daughter?
Well, actually, when the film was finished, my daughter was born, so it was a kind of happy moment in my life, so I decided to do that.
So you just talked about how you realized fear is the underlying theme with the people that you interview. So I was wondering, like, when you started on this movie, I assume you had some ideas. You had already had like laid out how you wanted to make it, and so how much did it change? How much difference was it between how much work did you put in beforehand and how when you got the end product?
That's an interesting question. Really, I had really first script that I developed, what I really wanted to do, and I showed it to Erica, who was my producer, and kind of like, I want to go to all these countries and do all these interviews with all these people, and I just want to see what is common, kind of like no story at all. And then she kind of looked at me and said, "You're crazy," and I was crazy, and really. The thing is that what I learned, because this is my first film, was the fact that I should have been a little bit more prepared while going there. But I think that in retrospect, now watching the film at this point in time, I realized that if I was more prepared and if I had people who I really wanted to interview and had that pre-production planned really well, I think it would turn out to be a completely different film than really what it is. Because really this was kind of like a road trip type of film, where I was going there and meeting different type of people. And maybe in some sense that kind of give, a perspective that I would not get if I was really preparing for it.
Sticking to it.
Yeah, sticking to the script, right? Yes.
I have a question. You said that you made the movie 7 years ago. How has the movie helped to bring awareness and attention to the people of that region, and has it helped them in any way?
After the film was completed, I went for about a year on the tour with the film to all the festivals and all the places, and I actually went even into the communities because I was not so much concerned about the fact that I want to film to play in the festivals and have distribution, as much as I wanted to have this kind of like open discussion and then have the people to open up and have discussion about things that transpire. And most of those screenings I would have people from that region as well in the screenings, and it would be very interesting because they would ask questions which would be very provocative, but at the same time it kind of give people in audience who are not from the region, kind of give them a sense first person experience of what really people have, what kind of feelings inside they still have. So, and that's what I wanted to bring out the discussion. It was more educational, I think, in my perspective.
So you feel that you've educated a lot through the movie and the discussions about
Yeah,
region
and we had a really good online forum that lots of discussion transpired, and it was, and we made a decision that we will not actually we'll post anybody was able to post anything. We didn't moderate it at all, and it was also very interesting to see how much of hatred was on the online forums. So I think that it was a catalyst for the discussion in many ways.
Did you include Kosovo? And if not, why?
I didn't include Kosovo because that was the time actually when I was going there. The Kosovo was happening at that particular time, and my whole point of view was at that point is what happens when the war is over rather than when war is happening.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was, all the journalists and everything was around the Kosovo, around the war, about bombings of Serbia and all of that stuff. And I just didn't feel like, that is the right moment. I wanted to do a story what happens after the war.
Do you think you'd want to follow up maybe a few years later to see where fear lies now? Is it at the same level?
I think it would be interesting. I talk to people who come from the region who are from other organizations that are still working on reconciliation efforts in that region. And pretty much I hear that this is still very open, wounds are still very open, and it's still very difficult to make progress, even though it's very peaceful and people move on with their lives. So I don't know if the film, if I would follow up with them later on, would I be able to get anything more? I don't think that lots of those people will not pass over their fears, like the soldier who you see that he has post-traumatic war syndrome, and there's no way that he can overcome that. While some people who were positive towards the end of the film, they were positive in their lives beforehand, so we made that big change.
And you?
And me, I think that I made a big change. I think that for me it was important to actually go there and to experience that fear and to experience what really happened to me, because as with many people, my experiences of the war I kind of kept inside of myself. I remember when the first time I came to the States and I went to the 4th of July celebration downtown Washington DC, I was not feeling too good. I was pale in my face, and I was having kind of like a flashback, but we keep on pushing those negative emotions and negative feelings down inside of ourselves, and that was the case with me. So when I went there, I was really surprised that, especially when I went back to the hotel, that those feelings just bubbled up to the forefront, and just for me dealing with it, because I was doing the film, kind of like when I was done with it, it really made all the difference.
Having done this and being a Croat, what kind of pressure did you receive? Because, like you said, it is still quite divided in the way people think. So how much pressure have you received personally, feelings of not being nationalistic enough or not, portraying sort of a balanced theme? Maybe other Croats felt that you sold out.
I heard that.
Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I heard all kinds of different, things, but for me, if all 4 sides or 3 sides say that, it is, if they see it as not balanced, that means that I'm really balanced. But ultimately what happens is that, it's not a question of balance or not balance. As I said at the beginning, I don't think I'm balanced. And I would challenge anybody, even journalists who say, well, you're balanced and we are, want to cover the story as it is, because there's no way that you can get away from your biases. But I think that what I wanted to do is, it is really complex story. I mean, probably most of you have not gotten everything that was going on in the story, and it's very difficult because it has Second World War issues there that are still boiling up. Then there is this war issues that are still there, and then how do you build your life after that? So it is complex story, but I wanted to keep complexity in the film, because of the fact is, if I simplify it for the viewers, in order for them to really understand the story and to be very simple and you follow it through, then it will lose that sense of complexity that there is, that their lives are not easy. It's not black and white. Nothing is black and white there. Everything is gray.